Alright, welcome back to Sommelier in Progress. This week we will talk about the Côte-Rôtie and Condrieu in the northern Rhône in the south of France. So Côte-Rôtie is the most northern part of the northern Rhône as well. It's near the Valence city and it will be along the Rhône river, of course, on the west bank. It's located in the department of the Rhône as well. And it's, I think, one of the most successful, if not the most successful AOP within the Northern Rhône, apart from maybe Hermitage. The Massif Central on the west side gives the Côte-Rôtie granite soils, while the Rhône on the other side, on the east side of Côte-Rôtie, will give it more these alluvial soils like clay and pebble, sand. Now the whole continental climate is quite moderate. It's not too hot yet on this northern part of the region, where the region has two parts basically, here very generally said. You have the Côte Brune and the Côte Blonde. The Côte Brune is more on the eastern side towards the river, so it has more the alluvial soils. It has an iron-rich clay and it has schist. We have the Côte Blonde, which is already suggesting what kind of soil there is. It gives granite soils from the Massif Central, a little bit of limestone, so it gives more lighter wines. There are three communes in the northern Rhône Côte-Rôtie part. There's Saint-Cyr-le-Rhône, which is the most northern commune, the most northern village. Then in the middle we have Ampuis, perhaps the most important village of the whole Côte-Rôtie. We'll get back to why that is. And on the bottom we have Tupin et Semont. These are the three communes of Côte-Rôtie. Côte-Rôtie has probably been producing wine already since the Roman times. How do we know that? Well, they would package wine per 76 liters, which is a double amphora size. Hence the idea that they were already doing this since the Roman times, because amphora was their measurement, let's say. The Côte-Rôtie has been established in 1940, the AOP. Since then already producing great wines, but primarily known to locals actually, until a certain point in history. We'll get back to that. The yield of Côte-Rôtie is capped at 40 hectoliters per hectare, and the planting density it has to be a minimum of 6,000 vines per hectare, but it's more around 10,000 vines per hectare these days. There are two major styles in Côte-Rôtie. There is the traditional style, which destems. They do a cold soak, so it's nice and elegant, light, floral and fragrant. And they will age on demi-muid. So these are 500 to 600 liters old oak barrels, which gives an elegance but not necessarily heavy oaky flavors. There's the modern style, which was made very popular by Etienne Guigal, which is ripe, rich, new oak aged on barrique mostly. But let's talk about Guigal in general. So Guigal really started to make Côte-Rôtie big in the 1970s and 80s, and Robert Parker noticed this. Because as you might know, Robert Parker was very fond of these ripe, rich and heavy styles, and the world started to evolve with it. Everybody suddenly was making these ripe, rich styles, but Guigal was already doing it. He was extracting whole cluster, aging on new barrique barrels, so it gives this very rich style of wines, which are produced from Syrah and up to 20% of Viognier. Syrah gives wines which are medium plus acidity, medium plus tannins, with these very typical aromas. Of course it's fruity, and this traditional style is more elegant, light, fruity. The modern style is more rich, ripe, darker fruit. Both of them will have this black pepper. Peppercorn is this very typical flavor in Côte-Rôtie wine, especially in Syrah, just in general in Syrah. The traditional style will have this lavender too, will have game, smoke, meat, leather, where the modern style will have black olives and the traditional style more green olive. Guigal has multiple cuvées. His flagship wine is Chateau d'Ampuis, which was first made in 1995, and it's based on 7 lieux-dits, 7 vineyards within the Côte-Rôtie, and it's 93% Syrah, 7% Viognier. Then he has the 3 Lalas. These are 3 vineyards, single vineyards, all from the Côte Brune or the Côte Blonde. The first one created was the La Mouline, which is from the Côte Blonde, so the lighter, aromatic, silky style of Côte-Rôtie wines, produced for the first time in 1966. And all his Lalas are aged for 42 months on new oak. Then in 1978, he produced La Landon for the first time, which is from the Côte Brune, 100% Syrah, also as I mentioned, 42 months of new oak. This is the most heavy, long-lived and structured of the Lalas. Then 1985 we have La Turque, which is also from the Côte Brune, but as Guigal says himself, it's the blondest part of the Côte Brune. So let's say it's in the middle between La Mouline and La Landon in terms of power. 93% Syrah, 7% Viognier. La Mouline is 89% Syrah, 11% Viognier. Now he also makes Condrieu, and we'll go more in depth about Condrieu in a moment. But his Condrieu cuvée is La Doriane. It's also very rich, ripe, aged on new oak. And he even makes Luminescence, which is a very rare cuvée. It's a late harvest Condrieu of the Viognier grape, 55 grams per liter rest sugar, and it's also aged on new oak. It's only produced in 3 vintages, I believe, 1990, 2003 and 2015. Very rare. Other producers are Rostaing, René Rostaing, Jamais, who is more into this blending, Georges Vernet, and Yves Culiron. Jamais has a blending philosophy, so instead of Guigal, who does his single vineyard stuff, Jamais really focuses on the blending. He even makes La Landon since 2018, and he has a Condrieu called Vernillon, which is 50-50 between stainless steel and oak. Since 2015 he makes this cuvée. And Rostaing is more this traditional producer. He makes a Côte Blonde, a La Landon as well. And he even makes a La Bonnette from Condrieu. So in terms of Syrah the grape, there are some synonyms, for example Shiraz in Australia, but also Hermitage is also a synonym for Syrah in Australia. Serine or Petit Syrah, they're all from the Isère department. The preferred rootstock of Syrah is 3309 for the nerds among us, and it's a mid-ripening grape variety, usually individually staked due to these intense steep slopes in the Côte-Rôtie. Even échalas, which is like a tipi structure for the vines, which protects it against the wind too, usually single or double guillot pruned. The Syrah also has a weird disease. They call it the Syrah decline disease. It affects some clones more than others, where they sometimes just die. They don't know what it is, they don't know what it's about, but it's a weird disease and it gives a weird, it's not good for producers. On to Condrieu. Condrieu is a AOP just south of Côte-Rôtie, so it really merges into the other, and it is a white wine AOP based on 100% Viognier only, nothing else. Where also, just like the Côte-Rôtie, it's a steep terraced slope AOP. Here we have, just like in the Côte-Rôtie, we have these granite soils, a little bit more sand, so granitic sand from the Massif Central part on the west of the Condrieu. It's in existence, or it's established as an AOP since 1940. There is a yield maximum of 41 hectoliters per hectare, and there is a density, planting density of 6,000 vines per hectare. The department, well, this is a funny one. There are 3 departments which Condrieu is in. You have the Rhône, the Loire, and the Ardèche. It's not too long, but those 3 just overlap in this small space. So there are 7 total communes. There were 3, Saint-Michel-sur-Rhône, Verrain, and Condrieu. But in 1967 they expanded it southward to include Chavenay, Malaval, Limony, and Saint-Pierre-de-Boeuf. There are a few top vineyards. We have the Côte Bonnet. There's Sherry, Chanson, with the top producers being Georges Vernet, Guigal, as we already discussed, Yves Cuilleron, and Yves Gangloff. Georges Vernet is more of this whole cluster pressing style with oak aging and long lee aging. His top wines are Coteau de Fernon, Condrieu, which was first created in 1953. There is the Chaillot de l'Enfer, produced for the first time in 1992, and then in 2000 he produced also a Côte-Rôtie for the first time, called La Blonde Seigneur. The Yves Cuilleron style from Condrieu is very rich, ripe, this modern style of ripe grapes, new oak aging. He even picks the grapes with a little bit of botrytis if possible, so it's extra ripe, extra complex style. Well, within Condrieu there's even a smaller AOP, very unique. It's a single producer AOP called Chateau Grillet. Chateau Grillet is only 3.5 hectares big, and it is a eastern facing amphitheater, so towards the Rhône. It's also granitic sand, but even this local soil called Arzelle, which is granitic sand with decomposed mica schist. Very important because it gives this energetic style. It was established in 1936, so it's older than Condrieu and Côte-Rôtie, and it includes 2 communes of production, the Saint-Michel-sur-Rhône and Verrain. Now, the yield here is a little bit lower. It's maximum 37 hectoliters per hectare, and the planting density is 8,500 vines per hectare. The owner of the establishment or of the chateau, and therefore pretty much from the AOP, is François Pinault of Artemis Domain. They also own Chateau Latour in Bordeaux, so they know of top wines. They also make 2 other wines next to Chateau Grillet. They make a Condrieu, which is called La Carterie, which they make since 2017. They also make a Côte de Rhône Viognier since 2011 called Pont-Saint. In terms of vintages, the Côte-Rôtie has 1 top vintage in the last 20, which it comes above all the other vintages, 2009. Then 2010 and 15 are also legendary vintages. Of the most recent vintages, 2019 and 2020 are top of the top. Watch out with 2014 and 21. They're good, but they're much more of this classic light style. It was a very cool vintage. Condrieu, the top of the top vintages are 2016 and 2010. Watch out for 2013. It is a little bit of a diluted vintage. Thank you. See you next time for more of the Northern Rhône appellations.